believe in me? Do you believe in me? Do you believe that I can stand up here fearless and talk to over 20,000 of you? Hey, Charles Rice Learning Center, do you believe in me? Come on, I can't hear you. That's right, they do. Because here's the deal. I can do anything, be anything, create anything, dream anything, become anything. Because you believe in me. And it rubs off on me. Let me ask you a question, Dallas ISD. Do you believe in my classmates? Do you believe that every single one of us can graduate ready for college or the workplace? You better, because next week we're all showing up in your schools. All 157,000 of us. And what we need from you is to believe that we can reach our highest potential. No matter where we come from, whether it's sunny South Dallas, whether it's Pleasant Grove, whether it's Oakland, Dallas, or West Dallas, or wherever, you better not give up on us. No, you better not. Because, as you know, in some cases, you're all we've got. You're the ones who feed us, who wipe our tears, who hold our hands or hug us when we need it. You're the ones who love us when sometimes it feels like no one else does. And when we need it the most, don't give up on my classmates. Do you believe in your colleagues? Do you? I hope so, because they came to your school because they wanted to make a difference too. Believe in them, trust them, and lean on them when times get tough. We all know we kids can sometimes make it tough. Am I right? Can I get a amen? So whether you're a counselor or a librarian, a teacher assistant, or work in the front office, whether you serve up meals in the cafeteria, my favorite, or help keep the halls clean, or whether whether you're a teacher or a principal, we need you. Please believe in your colleagues, and they'll believe in you. Do you believe in yourself? Do you believe that what you're doing is shaping not just my generation, but that of my children and my children's children? There's probably easier ways to make a living, but I want to tell you on behalf of all the students in Dallas, we need you. We need you now more than ever. Believe in yourself. Finally, do you believe that every child in Dallas needs to be ready for college or the workplace? Do you believe that Dallas students can achieve? We need you, ladies and gentlemen. We need you to know that what you're doing is the most important job in the city today. We need you to believe in us, in your colleagues, in yourselves, and in our goals. If you don't believe, well, I'm not going there. I want to thank you for what you do for me and for so many others. Do you believe in me? Because I believe in me, and you've helped me get to where I am today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm doing. You don't want me in charge of it, let me tell you. Welcome, everybody, and I believe in you, and your kids believe in you, and your parents believe in you. Isn't that just kind of a neat thing? And I was told beforehand that all of you were kids like him when you were little, just like Nancy was. And this is the part of the evening where we're just going to take a minute and introduce ourselves. I'm Marg Takis, and I'm the oldest, in case you didn't know. And I've been on the LACCS and LACCS planning team for a bunch of years now.
I'm Nancy Athanasio. I've been one of the co-directors for, not as long as Marg, but I don't know how long. I'm also a professor of education here at Alverno College, and I love both tasks equally.
I'm Julie Borgelt, and I've been both coordinating and facilitating this program for a couple of years now, and I was way back in 2010 with the first group even. So I see some familiar faces out there of people who have come back tonight, and it's always nice to have our alums back in the room.
And I am Amy Karsten. I am the baby, and I don't mean that by age, I mean that by seniority. This is only my second year in LACCS, and part of my role, and I know I've probably talked to many of you in the process of talking to you about what this night would be like. So part of my role is outreach, but I'm a new program director, so bear with me.
Okay, I just have to say that we are going to be taping this, but we also have something wonderful going on this year. We have 2 districts that are remoting in. I don't know how they do that. That seems like magic to me. So we are going to try and make sure that we address them. I think they're only coming on in a little while. Is that right? Or are they in now?
Hi, Nate. So Nate is on the screen in the back. He's actually muted his video right now, but Nate will be with us, and then Stephanie Foster from Lancaster, Wisconsin. Does anybody know where that is? Hi, Nate. Hi, Nate. Stephanie Foster from Lancaster. I still haven't looked at it on a map. I've been meaning to do it all week. Anybody want to help me out with that? So she'll be coming on at 5 o'clock. So you'll meet her as well, and do try to interact with them as much as possible. This is new for all of us.
And I'm thinking it's Julie, right?
So we're going to try to keep these sessions as interactive as possible. We're going to get you up and moving. We're going to get you talking with other schools and with your teams. And so the first thing we're going to do is kind of a mix and mingle so you can get to know some of the people here in your cohort. So you should have a yellow sheet on your table. If anyone needs a copy, raise a hand and we'll bring you one. So there's one thing I'm going to have you do, and about halfway down the page, it says, has seen the movie, and there's a blank there. I want you to write in a movie you've seen in the past 3 months. And if you're not a frequent moviegoer, then the last movie you saw. And then we are going to get up and move to the space, the open space, in the back of the room. Take a pen with you. And the point of this is to get to know other people in our group here and to find someone who can, for instance, has more than one pet. And you would have them sign their name. I am going to give you a little bit of a heads up that we're going to be using some of the information you learned from your cohorts in just a few minutes. So you want to at least be an active listener.
And this is what I tell my students when I have them do this. You can't just hand the paper to somebody and go, please sign wherever it fits you. The point is to ask a question. So be like, hey, give me a question. Do you play on a sports team? As opposed to, can you look at this and put your name wherever it makes most sense, right? Because the point is to engage, right? With your adults, you know this. So I'm just telling you how not to cheat. Okay. So take your papers with you, take a pen with you, and then when ready to do so, we'll have you moving around over in that space over there. All right? Questions? Yeah. Oh, yeah, we need more yellow papers. Anybody else need any more yellow papers before we convene? We need one over here as well. They need 3 here, some there. All right. All right, whenever you're ready then, papers, pens, pencils, and we'll move into that section of the conference center so that you can begin having a conversation.
All right. Welcome back. How was dessert? Great. All right, Nate, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Yay! Oh, and I think we're getting Stephanie back online as well. Hi, Bet. Welcome back, Stephanie. So everybody just remember that we have these external participants, and if you would like to interact with them, I have a laptop over there. You can chat with them. We're really trying this out for the first time, and that sort of is my segue into the technology component of the evening. So just some backstory, I taught tech ed at St. John's Northwestern Military Academy with Stephanie for many years. So by default, as you know, when you're an educator, if you taught it, then you must be the expert. I'm in no way an expert in technology, but it is sort of in my lane for LACCS. So all the items to do with the remote participation and the online binder, which I'm going to show you in just a moment, all of those sort of fall to me. If you have questions, suggestions, concerns, I would love to hear them because I'm learning right alongside of you. So just wanted to point out a few resources that you have available, and I don't see a lot of laptops tonight, but usually what happens is people start to show up with their laptops and they're checking email and da-da-da. So we want to put those laptops to good use throughout the learning community. And we have an online version of all of our materials. We call it the LACCS Online Binder. The URL is here. I'm not going to take you there right now because just because of time, but I would encourage you, this PowerPoint has it printed. Pull it up on your computer, bookmark it, save it somewhere. It's not a really memorable URL, so save it. This has everything that you get as a handout is on there in digital form. So if you want to use the mix and mingle activity that we just did in your classroom on Monday, it's there for you. Any of these pieces of paper that you got tonight, they're all on there. Going forward, this is the first year where we are offering an option. So in the past, we had last year was the first year for the online binder. So last year, we had an online binder and a print binder. This year, you can choose if you do not want the printed materials each week, or month, I'm sorry. If you only want the online binder, you're good. If you want an actual physical binder, I brought one as an example. Nancy, can you hold it up, please? Then that is yours to have. And if every single person in this room wants one, we will make that many. We would love for at least one per school. So if you have a big group and you just want to have one for your school, just to put on a shelf and look at it and go, hey, that's so cool. But there is a sign up outside on the registration table. If you want a print binder, you have to sign up for it. We won't assume that you want it this year, so that's new. And Nate and Stephanie, if you want a print binder, we can mail things to you and mail you a binder and give you handouts that way. But we're assuming sort of that you're going to use the online resources. So what's in there? Well, actually, I think I am going to take you there. I think. Oh, it actually worked. Woo, no, it sure didn't. Yeah. This is what I was afraid of. No, that's not it. So I didn't actually make it a hyperlink. So what's on the online binder? All the videos from our session. So Gabby, wave to Gabby. Hi, Gabby. So Gabby is an Alverno student. She's a senior. She's been with us for a few years, and she's amazing. And she is recording this right now. So if you want to remember how cute I looked tonight, you go ahead and log on, and in a few days, the session will be available. The quality is not always that good, and obviously don't just watch it online. Like, come here and then watch it online if you can. All the digital handouts, and then we will be cultivating and curating a section with all of the character education planning tools that we are giving you. It's in its own section of the online binder. And then an online version of this resource table is available there. So what I sort of envision that to be is if you send me, oh, this is a great article, or we mentioned something, or one of our speakers or presenters says, oh, check this out, this is a great resource, we'll put it all on there. And we call that gifts to the community because they really are gifts, and we value everything that you all bring to the table. And we want to share those out for future, in a year from now, you're like, what was that? You can go back there. All right. We already met our remote participants, and they are participating from River Falls School District. Nate Sherman. I believe in the next, by the next session, we may have up to 8 people from River Falls participating. So Nate's just sort of beta testing for us tonight. And then Stephanie, hi Stephanie, is from Lancaster, Wisconsin, and Winskill Elementary. So welcome them, and whenever you can, kind of give them a wave and remember that they're there with us. We also have a Facebook page. I curate the Facebook page as well, and I try really hard to only put things on there that are resources to you. You know, obviously once in a while I put like a, hey, come to LACCS thing. But usually I try to get good resources, quality resources, and share articles, links. So please, if you have your phone or something like that, you just want to like us, that would be great. It also obviously serves the purposes of marketing as well, but I really created it to be a resource. And also Instagram, which is new this year. A couple other announcements about that I'm in charge of, other than the technology, is that we have a offline sort of chat room, and there are good old-fashioned Post-it notes on your table. If you have a question that comes up, primarily, like even about the technology piece, but primarily in the next section when Nancy's talking, just to honor the time, write it on the Post-it note, pass it over, and we'll put it in the parking lot. And perhaps the questions will be addressed throughout the evening naturally, but we will keep checking that parking lot. It's the Post-it note, or the big easel over there. We'll have that at every session, so that way questions that you want shared out or that haven't been addressed, it's just a really efficient way for us to make sure that we're answering all of your questions. So, did I cover everything for my section? Yeah? I still have 3 minutes left. Anybody want to hear about my day? Huh. All right. I'm sure we'll use it later. So here we go.
Imagine a school where there are agreed upon practices and processes for almost everything they do. So there's a common way of disciplining. There's a common way of treating students. There's a common way of setting up classrooms.
In our 4th year, we saw it just take a life of its own. People were coming to us, you know, as far as what are you doing, how are you doing, why is this working for you? I think I've had more school tours or visits from different schools or different people to see what our work was like. We've opened our doors to be a model school.
We've gotten to the point this year where the students are actually going into homerooms, into the HIP classes, and actually teaching lessons to their peers.
With this technology age, students kind of get away from really focusing on building themselves as individuals, so it's a way to bring that back.
You know, from a academic standpoint, and I think it's also reflects on our culture, the two schools within this building, Discovery Charter School and Columbus Elementary School, both scored in the top 2% of all schools scored on the state report card in 2014, and so we're very, very proud of that. And I think that, again, speaks beyond just the academic part, because we know a lot of students come with needs well beyond learning needs, you know, that they need to feel safe, they need to feel valued, and you know, you can't get to the academic excellence unless you have those primary needs taken care of. And so I think our CARES program really helps provide that foundation for the academics to excel.
You can look at the data for attendance, for example. We're at 96% and above for a school of 600 kids. You can look at our parents involved. We have over 1,500 parent volunteers that have logged into the school this year. Is it discipline? We're at 31 referrals by the end of the 3rd quarter for this school year, which I believe is great. We also look at acts of good character. What's the atmosphere like? And we have over 2,100 acts of character that students have displayed that have given back to the school. So with all that being said, I believe character will have a positive impact on each one of those metrics.
The teachers do it by sweating all the small stuff. Day in and day out, they mark those lines and they say people are not going to cross those lines, either an adult or a student. This is how we do things in our school.
Since we've started that, teachers see how they have less distractions, less redirections, less bullying, less kids late, less interruptions.
There's consistency across the district. I can go into any school in the district and I know what they'll be working on. And that's reassuring for me, knowing that people are working on those traits. It offers consistency to the teachers when they do their professional development. It offers consistency in the homes, that parents understand the language that we're using in schools.
Our suspension rates are almost non-existent. We are averaging around 98% attendance rates, and we've had one referral in all those 5 years. We graduate 99% of our students, and 98% of them go on to onto secondary education. In terms of our ACT scores, we rank at the top, if not the top, in our county and in the southeastern Wisconsin.
We've done food drives. We go to the nursing home and the kids get to spend an hour or so with an elderly person. That's one of the situations that has been really positive with little kids and with bigger kids. I've gone out in the neighborhood with kids, all the teachers have, and we have neighbors open up their doors and say, "It's nice to see you, thanks for helping." We have a run walk every year where we give back to the community. Funds have gone to the Wounded Warrior Project. We've also done out of uniform days, and we charge them $1. And the kids help us identify where those funds should go.
When I think about our discipline data, we went from 4 years ago having an average of 8 to 10 referrals a day to 0 to 2. That means that as a principal, I get to do so much more instructionally. So when I'm not trying to tease apart what happened in this scenario, I'm able to be in classrooms and I'm able to be working with teachers and talking about instruction and talking about student learning.
We have very, very few incidences of fighting or physical violence at the school. Compared to other schools, it's a very, very safe place to be. And you see that in numbers in things like disciplinary referrals being very low. But I think you also see it in the fact that we have waiting lists at every grade level every year, that parents want their kids to be in a safe school, and we don't advertise, we don't need to. We have a reputation, and word of mouth spreads that we're a safe school.
So the schools are emphasizing the need to ramp it up, bring the problems to other people who can help, make certain that these students succeed. Basically, the mantra in these schools are that failure is not an option for these children. We're not going to allow them to fail.
We've done some bullying surveys with our students, which is very important. We've done some parent satisfaction surveys, which come out very positive. And that continues on into the middle school level, and the kids will talk about what was your experience at Stormouth, what made a difference for you. And I think by constantly evaluating and assessing what you're doing, and it also it's manifested in the number of behavior incidents we have. Up until right about now, we've got about 15 total behavior incidents and 530 kids. That's almost unheard of. I talk to colleagues that are principals in other schools, and they're going, "What? How do you do that?" Well, we do it because we have those expectations, and we're constantly talking to our kids about what's the right thing to do. So by looking at your behavior incidents, your bus incidents, the way your kids treat each other, and doing informal and formal surveys, you can measure that pretty carefully.
One of the unique things at middle school is a lot of social issues, and we do a lot of mediations with students. We feel that students, when they learn to work with each other and work through these issues with each other through the mediation, we find that it prevents a lot of the future behavior problems, and I think it's one of the big reasons that our disciplinary referrals have gone down.
Prior to character education, we had 744 disciplinary referrals, and this past year in 2014-15, we got that number down to 134 disciplinary referrals. So it has a lot to do with character, but within that, we often talk about the 11 principles from Character Education Partnership.
All right. Okay. So you get me next for a little while. One of the things I want to point out about that video that I absolutely love, if you're familiar with character ed, what I'm going to say next isn't going to surprise you. If you're new to character ed, though, it's one of the things I love to point out, and that is in that video, what I love so much is that, I know it was hard to hear. Sorry, we couldn't get the volume any louder. Is that it highlights character education, but it answers one of the issues that sometimes gets raised by people that just don't think that they have any time for it. Like, we just don't have time to focus on character education. We're too focused on fill in the blank. Like, we need to worry about test scores, we need to worry about academics, we need to worry about fill in the blank. We don't have time for character. And what you saw in that video was they're they're doing both. You know, you saw a lot of test scores in here. You saw a lot of not only assessment data, but you saw a lot of behavioral data. And you saw character ed tied really neatly with all of that. So it's not one more thing. It's the thing. And it's connected to all of those things. So if you're looking at like, what are our major goals in our school? What are we really working towards? What do we really care about in terms of our kids? Character ed fits neatly with any one of those things, guaranteed. So my next part is, what did y'all sign up for? Why are we here? What did we get ourselves into? What is LACCS anyway? So let me tell you what LACCS is. And I'm hoping this part works. Does this work? Is it on? Let's try this. Does it? Yes. All right. So, well, okay, now wait a second. So what is LACCS? It really is a year-long learning community. Okay? It's not a program. It's not something that I'm going to walk you through and you're all going to leave with the exact same thing. It's not a binder of stuff that you're going to take down and follow along with, right? It's a community. We started off building community, and you're all coming in at different points, and you're all going to leave here at different points. But you're all going to be able to work together on this journey. But we are guided by a set of outcomes. So throughout LACCS, this is what you have an opportunity to do. You're going to understand how schools most effectively impact students' character development and social and emotional learning. You're going to hear a lot about that throughout. You're going to see that in a lot of different ways. Okay, here's me clicking too many times again. That's okay. And I shouldn't read to you. It's the end of the night. But these are some of the things you're going to develop the ability to or continue to do. Again, these aren't necessarily things that you're not already doing, but you're going to be able to continue to do and do it with your teams and, again, with each other. So that's that learning community piece. Use a moral lens to assess how all aspects of the culture affect the character of students. Create opportunities for your staff and students to apply things such as compassion, responsibility, and fairness to everyday interactions, as well as through community service. You heard elements of that in the video as well. Build and maintain discourse with colleagues, students, the community about the implementation of character ed principles and practices. Opportunities for staff and students to grapple with real-life challenges and reflect on moral choices. And I love that it's staff and students. This isn't just all about the adults and the adults making all of the decisions. It's you, it's your students, it's the community. It's larger than just that, but it just happens to be you here in the evenings. But you're thinking about all of the stakeholders that you work with. We're going to share a lot of the resources that are available to you. You're not starting from scratch. You shouldn't be starting from scratch. And to that end, you probably are already doing a lot. And sometimes it just takes the time that you have while you're here to talk with your teams about what is it that we're already doing and starting from that. But then going, okay, so, you know, what else is out there that we can draw from? And so we're going to share a lot of those state resources that you can draw from, national resources that you can draw from, and I'm going to share even some of those with you this evening so that you know where to go. Some people are like, you know, we want an assessment tool that we can use to even start to get a gauge of where our staff thinks we are in terms of you know, climate and culture, or where our parents think we are, or where the community thinks we are. Do we have to create that ourselves? No. And so we'll show you where some of those things are. Develop and initiate a school-wide character ed program with the goal of developing core ethical values needed to be a good human being and enable staff and students to perform at their highest potential in school and obviously any other endeavor. And last but not least, never mind, last but not least, thoughtfully create a strategic plan of action to address ethical, social, emotional, and academic growth, building upon understanding of process of change, necessary leadership skills to promote change. So, long term, and what we're going to help you do throughout your process here and throughout your time at LACCS is we want you to have time throughout these sessions here to work together, and ultimately to have a plan at the end that you can take back to your schools around character education. Now, some of you are coming from schools and you already have a plan. So it might be that you're looking at your plan and seeing, is there something that we can tweak about this plan, or add to, or refine in some way. Others might not have a formal plan in place, but you might have a lot of different things that you've been doing that you might now want to formalize into a plan. You know, so you've got these kinds of things going on, and so you might be pulling it together. We've had folks come to LACCS who the school has just become an entity, and they have started off with, what are our core values? And so that's been the place that they've started from. And so that's what they were working on during their time at LACCS. So people come to LACCS at all different points, and it all works no matter where you're coming from. And that's perfectly fine. So what happens at the end, does everybody end up at the same place? No, it's like your kids when they come in, right? They all come in at different places, and they all move forward, and they all end up where they end up. And that's what LACCS does as well. But we want you to have something that works for you, and that's why it's not a program, right? I don't know what your school needs, but I can talk with you, I can listen to you, I can find out what's going on, and I can help you, I can help facilitate, I can help provide resources for you, but I'm certainly not going to come in and say to you, hey, you know what, this is what you need. Because you're going to look at me and you go, you don't know what my school needs, you know, so, but that's what your team gets to do. So that's why it's not a program. If we had a program that I'd be handing out at all of these tables and saying to you, this is how you do character ed, that'd be very disingenuous of me. You know, you all work in different environments, you all have different groups of kids, different staff, and you're all at different places. So one of the things that we do is we bring in lots of resources, we'll bring in national speakers, we'll bring in, Mark brings in great resources every week to share with you, or every session, excuse me, we keep calling it weeks, every session to share with you. So we give you like lots of foundational stuff, but then we give you time together to work. And that's one of the things that we're very committed to this time around in particular. We sometimes end up running out of time, but this time in particular to give you really focused time while you're here to talk to one another, to work together on this plan, rather than taking up all your time while you're here and then saying to you, okay, between now and next time, y'all should be doing this, and then come back to us and talk to us about it. Because, yeah, you have that kind of time between now and next time, right? So we'll provide that kind of time for you while you're here. We might say to you between now and then, you might want to gather some data that might be helpful for you when you're working, but not that you're going to have to go do any kind of work outside of these sessions, so that you can really make the most of this time together. You know, you've committed to this time, we're here, the resources, you know, will hopefully be here, but that you'll end with something that you can take with you and move forward. So it's not like you end LACCS, you have a plan, and then that's the end of it. The plan hopefully then will be a living document that you continue to add to. And so that's why when I say we have teams here that have been here before, they keep sending people so that more, you know, more people in the school become familiar with the plan, have more ownership of the plan, have more ability to add to the plan. So do you see where I'm going with this? Right? And again, if you're new to LACCS, you're a new school to LACCS, that's great too. But we're going to mix groups up at times too, so that regardless of where you are, you get to hear from one another. What's going on in other schools? So I know what's going on in my school, and I get a chance to talk to my team, but hey, you know, it'd be great to hear what other people are doing and get some ideas that way too. So you're going to have team time, but you're also going to have mixed group time and find out what's going on there as well. So national speakers will help facilitate, but again, community of learners, you're going to get a chance to talk to one another as well. But long-term goal here, by the end, we'd like you to have some kind of a plan that works with your particular setting. All right, so Marg mentioned earlier when we were in circle time about kind of the alphabet soup of education that we're all a part of. And so that's one of the things we want to kind of deconstruct here when we're talking about, because character education is the same. We have a lot of acronyms in there too. So we're going to decode a little bit of the alphabet soup there. So character education, we're going to decode those CE codes. And we're going to understand the connection between the national organization, which is literally called character.org. That is the website name, but it's also the national organization's name, is character.org. The state organization here in Wisconsin is WCEP. That's where that video that you just saw, that's where that video came from. Okay, it's the Wisconsin Character Education Partnership. And then the local thing that you're part of right now is LACCS. And then we'll talk about the different resources that are available to you through all three of those things kind of working together. And then again, access the resources from the two national and state websites. And then you might have caught the reference to the principles that were mentioned in the video itself, but there are 11 principles which serve as a framework for character education. They're used as a framework at the national level, at the state level. I have a slide in here that will highlight them. I am not going to go into any depth with them at all this evening, because you will hear about them in a future session by someone who is far more knowledgeable of them. She does training at a very, very high level with them, and it's just not the night for that for you. It's an orientation night, so it's more of an overview, but they're a framework that let me back up a second. They're a framework used. We'll be using that throughout. We'll point out where we are with those principles throughout our time together. But I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with them. But you will become familiar with them throughout our time together in our sessions. Okay, so again, character.org national, WCEP state, and then of course Alverno College, along with WCEP, hosts and functions with LACCS. Okay. You'll hear us talk throughout about state schools of character, or SSOCs as they are as acronyms. There are national schools of character. You have to be a state school of character before you can be a national school of character. There are promising practices. We have an annual character education conference that we hold here on Alverno's campus every June. It's June 20th next year. Some of you might have been at our last one last June. And then again, we've got LACCS here. We'll be talking to you about the promising practices as we move through. There's applications for these kinds of things. There's there's applications for those top three. We'll be talking with you about those more as we talk with you in small groups, because again, you're at different points. They'll make more sense to you depending on where you are. So again, I'm not going to go into detail about those things right now, but as directors, when we meet with you in smaller groups, we'll be talking to you about what those are, what they might mean for you, when might be a good time for you to be thinking about each one of those things depending on where you are in process, okay? But I point them out to you now just to know that those kinds of things do exist, and there's some things that you might want to be thinking about. There's a lot of good things, again, that are already happening that schools are doing, and why not be recognized for them, okay? So again, we'll be talking more about that, but we'll share more of those details with you as they become more relevant to you as we move forward. Okay, so character.org, again, national organization. This is their vision. Young people everywhere, educated, inspired, empowered. This is their mission. Okay. They handle the applications for national schools of character. This is WCEP. This is our Wisconsin Character Education Partnership. They're our state organization. They sponsor our state schools of character and Promising Practice Awards. They work with us to support the development of character in schools, Dick Pieper, for those of you that met him earlier who was here, he is integral. He is our, I don't even know how to describe him, our fairy godfather. Just completely integral in partnering with us. And that is their website. And again, I'll be showing you little bits about that, of where we can go for resources for that. But they're a state organization made up of volunteers who are just committed beyond measure to this idea of character education in schools. Dick wants every child in the state of Wisconsin to be exposed to character education. That is his mission and his goal. He believes in it that much. And you'll see him at a lot of our sessions. He'll come in, he'll sit back, he'll come talk to you. And so welcome him. He's just a huge supporter and is thrilled that you're all here. Okay, this is their vision. Again, all Wisconsin students, this is what they want. It's their goal. And it's their mission. And just one of the ways they do that then is to support our work with LACCS, and that's why they work with us and partner with us. Okay. So both the national and the state organization, this is what they focus on. They focus on defining and encouraging effective practices, quality character education, and providing that forum for the exchange of ideas. So those are the places that you want to go to when you're looking for resources, right? Both places, both websites is where you'll find the 11 principles of character education. Again, that framework is nationwide, so you'll find it at character.org, you'll find it on WCEP's website, okay? So again, the resources section there, Schools of Character program, the National Forum on Character Education, sponsored by character.org, the Wisconsin's Character Education Conference held here, WCEP helps sponsor, and then this is our pie. This is our section of it right here. This is where we fit in and where you all fit in to this pie as well. Okay, so you're now a part of all of this and have access to all of this. Okay, so this is just a screenshot of WCEP's webpage. And again, it's just wicharacter.org. Okay, but you'll see, I know it's really hard to see the small print on top, but there is a resources link. You'll find lots of articles in here. You'll find, oh look, you'll find LACCS up there. You'll find us up there. You'll find information for Schools of Character. You'll find 11 principles up in here. You'll find various videos in here, much like the one that we just showed just prior to this presentation. So there's a lot of different ways to go in here. So if you're ever looking for anything from the state perspective, Dick puts a lot of different things up here. He has people, obviously, that curate information that gets put up in here. So there's a lot. Things that are in the news, things that are statewide. They've got it, again, it's kind of hard to see. They've got categories in here, but academics and culture, continuing education, guns and children, that's what that says. But there's just a lot of different ways of getting information from here. But the resources section is a good one to check out if you're looking for resources around character education. Publications, links, obviously, all of that good stuff. Okay. These are the 11 principles. This is the framework that, again, is used nationwide and clearly by the states then as well. You're going to get a lot of, we're going to go in much more detail about this, but you can get a sense of what these are just by kind of taking a look at what some of these are. So one of the principles, for example, is creating a caring school community. Providing students with opportunities for moral action. Using a comprehensive, intentional, proactive, and effective approach for character development. Engaging family and community members as partners. Striving to foster students' self-motivation. Includes a meaningful and challenging academic curriculum that respects all learners, develops their character, and helps them to succeed. Now, clearly, there's a lot that happens underneath each one of these principles, right? This is just, it's like looking at the standards, right? This is just the, you know, the top level, and there's a lot that happens underneath this, right? But you're gonna get, you know, far more information about each one of these. And we're gonna tie what we do with you to these principles so that you can see how what we're doing connects to these principles as well as we go through. But this is the framework for character education that we use, that the nation uses around. All right, I'm gonna stop there before I go through all of this. Let me take this back a second so that you don't start looking at all that. Let me stop here for just a second. That is a very quick and very broad overview. But I want to stop there for a second and just let some stuff sink and settle, and then ask if there are any questions that you have at this particular point. I can wait 8 seconds.
I'm shooting for it, it's my goal.
Mark's still only at 7. I got 8. I taught middle school, I can wait longer. Okay, then I'm gonna go into the overview so that you can see what the sessions are gonna look like. Yeah. All right. And again, this is kind of, they have this though, Jules, right? Yep. So they can see it. Okay, so again, small, hard to see. You are at September 13th, so orientation. 2 weeks from today is our first full session. It's a full day session, 8:30 to 3:30. And we're gonna talk at you the entire, kidding. It's a full session, 8:30 to 3:30. We're gonna have a national speaker here, Scott Schickler. He's from 7 Mindsets. We've had Scott here before. He's great. You're gonna like him a lot. We're also going to begin to introduce the 11 principles. We've got a lot of other stuff going on that day as well. Clearly, you're going to have some team time, but that's a full day. I want to point out, and Marg reminded me of this too, we have several full days in here, so when you're looking at this agenda thing as you got it in your thing, think ahead now, because it's hard to get subs. So, plan accordingly. So September 27th is our first full day session. November 1st, notice we don't have a date in October. October's a tricky month for lots and lots of reasons. Teacher conferences. Lots of things happen in October, so we just skipped it. So November 1st, we're back here in the evening. We'll talk about schools of character, promising practices. Well, you can see we got that going on. November 29th, we're back here for a full day. And we're going to go on some field trips, or a long day field trip, I guess. And we're going to visit some state schools of character. That's all I can tell you. We'll tell you closer to the time where we're going to go and who we're going to see. But we're going to go visit some schools so that you can see stuff in action. Okay, so we'll start here. We're not going to start here? No. I lied. Never mind. Don't listen to me. We'll start somewhere. See, they didn't even tell me where we're going because they don't want me to give you wrong information. Anyway, we'll see 2 schools still? Yes. Okay, so I didn't lie there. We're going to see 2 state schools of character and give you a chance to, again, see stuff in action. We ask you for feedback. We get evaluations at the end of each session. This is always a highlight for our participants. They tend to love this particular day. So we'll do this in November. You'll get a chance to do some visits. No date in December, guess why? So we're back in January, And that'll be an evening session again, and we'll be discussing service learning. In February, we're back for a full day, and we will be talking a bit about restorative practices. Drew DeLudio from MPS will be joining us. And again, those long days, when you see the speakers and stuff like that, they're not going to be with you the whole day. They'll be with you for a chunk of the day. But then we have other stuff going on as well, and we'll fill you in on kind of what those long days look like. But again, you'll always have time to work together. In March, we're back for the evening on equity and inclusion and youth voice. In April, trauma-informed practices. And in May, you graduate. A little ceremony. So we have that's always a great night, and I'll share more with you about what that's going to look like. And then June 20th, I referenced before, is our Character Education Conference. It's included at no charge for all participants. It's a great day. Some of you were there last June. We have keynote speakers. They're usually just awesome. And then we have excellent breakout sessions. And so we encourage you all to come to that, because again, it's included in your LACCS tuition. Thank you. Like registration, I don't know what I'm calling it. So that's, again, your overview of what's to come. But again, I'm going to focus on those full days so that you get those dates down so that you can make those arrangements so that you can be here. Okay? Cool? Yes? Okay. All right. I think this is the last thing on me. The other thing that happens throughout LACCS is that the directors, so me and my peeps here, we will arrange to visit you on site, to meet with you and your team, ideally including your school administrator, and we'll make arrangements with you to do that when it makes sense for you and your team. But we will come to you on site, and we will get a chance to talk to you, see where you are, literally, because we'll be there. But just to kind of, you know, what can we do for you? What kinds of help do you need? What kind of questions do you have? Sometimes we get a tour of the building, which we like to do. But however we can help you, but we will make arrangements with you individually to do that at a time that makes, obviously, sense for you. So we'll be making arrangements for you to do that. Winter, you know, something like that. But just know that we'll be contacting you to do that. We'll come out there. And again, the November 29th date is the date that we will go see the State Schools of Character. That's all I'm going to say, because you know that I'm getting that information wrong. But those are the LACCS visits that we've got going on. These I'm clearly not going to read to you. This is just what other grads have said about LACCS. We asked a question on their own personal growth, and these are just some things that they had to say. I'm just going to leave that there for a minute, for a moment. And this next slide is what they had to say about the program experiences, so what they were a part of each session. Yes, but when? All right. So are we ready to transition then? All right. Okay. Did we pass out? Okay. All right. Okay. So So you've sat and listened long enough. Don't get too comfortable with the candy just yet. Not that you won't be able to get comfortable with it, but it serves a purpose first, and then you can get comfortable with it. Okay.
Thank you for coming. We were hoping we'd have a party and people would come, and we're real thankful you came to the party. We'll see you next time. Have a good couple of weeks. Thank you.
We'll always give you some resources at every session. And they're always going to be on the online binder. So again, you can go back to that at any point and say, oh, what did we do in November? I think it was a November session that we did this, and you'll find it there. So now I'm going to turn this over to Marg, and we're going to talk mindfulness.
And one last thing about elements in every class session was just a typo. We're going to have a class meeting. Some are longer, some are shorter, but we're going to keep developing that. A very important tool because it enhances the climate and the culture in our classroom, in our hallways, in our school, and at our faculty meetings. So with that, I just have a couple of things before I jump into the ending activity, and that is to remember to sign up for a print binder. I think that'll be out in the hallway, right, Amy? That's where it'll be. And next time, I want to remind you, you're wearing, it's full day, remember, you're wearing your your worn out jeans and sweatshirts and all that kind of good stuff because it's a full day here. That way, none of you are going to your schools. Before or after. That's my best offer. Yes? No, we'll always have food. Alverno is a safe haven for eaters. And then we have a parking lot question, and it's someone who's really interested in nominating some students for Student of Character for the annual conference, which is part of your fee for coming here. And we don't have the answer for that yet, so we have to figure that out. I don't think the conference is planned far enough along to know all of those details yet, but we will get that answer. And again, questions any time of the session, beginning, before, after, during, right over at the parking lot. And like we started, we're trying to mirror some techniques and activities that if you haven't tried, try them. And the parking lot is a good way to do it. And you can mix it up, 7-Up with every range. Say today, everything, a parking lot has to be said with rhyming words in it, or everything you say in the parking lot has to include one shout out for a person. So just beef it up. Otherwise, it becomes graffiti. Okay. On your tables are some composition books. Now, we all say experience teaches us, and it does. But reflection, the power of reflection, enhances us and moves us. In essence, I've had a lot of experiences like you, and I didn't learn a frickin' thing from it. Pardon the expression, but I didn't. And you can put me in any Phi-Ed class and give me every experience possible, and I still come out looking like this. It just isn't doing the trick. But if I really think about what I need to do to enhance perhaps my weight, perhaps my body, I don't know what I do. I mean, you guys know that stuff, I don't. I really have to think about it. And how do we do that? Is by the power of reflection. And reflection can be a variety of things. It can be Monday morning quarterbacking, where you sit and you talk with people in the know, and you discuss it, and you discuss it, and you chew it, and you discuss it. That's the power of reflection that way. Sometimes, believe it or not, finding a cartoon makes you laugh, makes you cry, but it makes you think, and that's the power of reflection. And of course, all of us in education learned journaling. And none of us in the education, even though we make our students do it, actually do the journaling, unless you do. Does anybody here really journal? See, I knew it. I don't either. I have about 5 journals. I have started many times. And so now you have your 5th journal. And this is going to be your journal for the power of reflection. And we would like you to take some time to think about one of 2 things. What is your character? What are the attributes of your character that you like about yourself? What do you like? What don't you care for? There might be something that you've been wanting to change forever. And why are you not changing it? The other question was probably very, very lofty, and I'm going to try and find it very quickly. You put it up there? Oh, write a personal character education statement. So one is analyzing yourself, positive and negative. Another one, personal character. Okay? I'm watching the time. Are we going to write now? Somebody look at the clock because I'm not processing. 7:20. 7:20? Okay, we got it. For the next 5 minutes, you are able to journal. And here's the thing about the journal. You may take it home and journal all you want, or you may leave it with us and we'll have it here for you next time to add on. But if you take it home, you better bring it back. And I mean it. Okay, so one thing about journaling and writing is that you need some silence. You don't need to hear anybody else's conversation. So I will be quiet. We'll give you 5 minutes. On your mark, get set, go. You are not going to hurt my feelings if you keep writing your last sentence. Would you please take a marker and write your name on the cover and probably on that first page, put it on the top. You can never tell what happens. Next, there's an orange colored sheet, and on it are some thoughts and ideas, long verbose definitions of character ed. I hope that before you come back again, you'll take a few minutes and read it just to get your head back in the game, because we need to know our own ideas about character ed and who we are as a person of character. When we have our own foundation, then we can really start pushing forward into what does it look like within our classroom, our halls, and our schools and districts. Lastly, the last thing for writing tonight is this green evaluation sheet, and we would ask that you would please fill that out before you leave, and we'll be collecting them over near the bin where you can put your journals if you want to leave them here. And now, our last activity is a mindfulness activity. Can you just raise your hand of how many of you are doing any of the mindfulness practices in your classroom or schools? Wonderful. And we'll develop more ideas on how to do this. But tonight, a simple way for us to end is kind of the way we started and a little bit elongated. Tonight, I'm going to ask you to just sit and let go of all your worries, all your thoughts about the day you've had, how long this night is, the crummy ride home. I want you to just separate yourself from all of those ideas and just sit and enjoy doing nothing for a whole minute. Can you do it? A whole minute. Here we go.
I'm sorry. Okay, if you can finish your thoughts, we're going to return to our tables and we're going to debrief at the tables.
Turning up the volume on my remote site. Turning up the volume on you too. Can you hear me? All right. How'd that go? I'll figure out the groups for next time. All right. Good. Well, yeah, it was kind of nice because you could see the questions right away too. So right now they're gonna kind of debrief this, like, think, pair, share. So now they're gonna share at their tables. So if you guys want to keep talking, you can, or you can kind of listen in, or we can pass the mic. I don't know. This is again. Okay. Yeah, actually, that would probably, timing-wise, if you're good. We're just gonna wrap up and do a little mindfulness activity. Oh my goodness, that's exciting. All right. Yeah. Nate, would it benefit you for one of us to come there for the first one? Because we're willing. Think about that. Think about it. Okay.
Okay, back at your tables.
Okay. Awesome. I realize I'm looking at you here, but you're there.
You have been in different groups because you're split up by candy groups, and now you're back at your tables. So some tables are just one school team, and some tables have multiple schools. And so share at your table of where your school is based on what you talked about and where you want your school to be based on maybe what a culture of character look like. So take a few minutes to talk at your tables about what you talked about in those small candy groups. I hate to interrupt this conversation because I can see there's good dialogue going on, but I wonder if anyone would like to share out some common threads that were discussed at the table when you were in different groups. Did people come up with some of the similar things when they worked on different sheets? I'll bring the mic to you.
School appropriate. Okay, it was hard once you got to, it was, my good angle. It was hard once you got to the third one because your third round, because everyone had already kind of done the this is what we all know. And so you really had to stretch okay, what hasn't been said that's still important, that isn't fake. So I liked it because it really made you think deeper. And yes, we were thinking deeply at the first one as well, but by the time we got to the third one, it was really oh my gosh, what more is there to say? And then we found out something, so.
Anything that you saw that maybe someone in a different candy group you talked about as a common thing, a common thread that went from different signs?
So I think we just discussed the need for a common language if you're going to develop a culture of any kind, whether it's what you guys do or any different kind of building, and how we're all at the same building. So just making sure that we're using common language to kind of set those values as we move forward this school year.
Thank you. That's a great thing that we can all think about. All right. Other thoughts with maybe where, when you talked about a school of culture, where are you picturing your school now?
I thought it was refreshing to hear from other people that they're kind of in the opening steps of LACCS as well. Just because when you're new to a program, sometimes it feels like everybody knows something and you don't. Or at least that's how I felt walking in. And so in addition, it's really nice to look at an initiative that could never be argued. I mean, if you don't know enough about it, that's fair. But when you go back and forth between all these different missions that we're going to do this year and not next year, and this year and not next year, no one's ever going to look back and say oh, teaching our students how to be good people was a poor decision. So that's been really refreshing.
Thank you for sharing that. Any other thoughts? So we are going to take what you wrote. We are going to use it. We're going to put those together. And so if you want to go back and see what did you collectively come up with as character attributes? They'll be on the online binder. So that'll be a reference for you later if you want to go back and look at that. All right, so the last thing here is that we want to mention what we're going to do in every session. And so we will have professional development and or a guest speaker every time. We're going to do a mindfulness activity, and tonight we're going to close with that because we feel like mindfulness shouldn't just be a one-time session. It should be something that we're weaving throughout. And we're going to give you different activities that you can do if you're not doing mindfulness. It might be some new things for you to try, or if you're already doing mindfulness, it might be to add to your bag. Oh, question? You might be able to help share when we get to that point. So we're going to have an opportunity for reflection at each session. We're going to connect to the 11 principles, and we're going to also give you an opportunity to work on your plans as we start to get to that point of development. And then,
all right, see these questions up here? Say yes, Nancy, we see these questions up here. See, I need validation too. Okay, let's see. I didn't see what candy we gave them. So, Amy, help me out.
Grab the markers from thing right on these.
Are there threes?
Oh yeah, you need to know.
Yeah, I need to know. Help me, help me. Amy, help me help you. Tell me there's only three.
There's 6. There's 2 sets.
There's 2. Oh, okay, sure. Okay.
So we'll do 1 set over there.
Oh, this is way too complicated for me. Okay.
Like 3.
No, I need to see. I'm a very visual one. All right. Yeah. Okay. So, these are my group 1s. These are my group 2s.
No. Oh, yeah.
Group
But
1s, group 2s.
within that, 3 groups.
Amy, why don't you take over?
Oh, right.
You got it.
Okay.
So it's 6 groups. They were too big.
Right. Okay. All right. Okay. See, I didn't get lunch or dinner or dessert, so I'm completely depleted. Okay. Okay. Are you ready for this now? Okay. We're going to have 6. I've got this now. I planned this activity. You think I would know what's going on? No clue. All right. We're going to have 6 groups. Okay? You're going to be grouped by candy type. Ooh, I know. Tricky, right? Yes, then you can ultimately eat the candy, people. All right. So, my Twix folks. Who are my Twixes? Oh, pick your candies. I'm sorry. Grab a candy. I know I told you not to get too excited about the candy, and then I'm like, which ones are you? Okay, grab your candy. No, you're not a poor listener. I'm a poor direction giver.